and American business, some names stand tall, Ford and John Deere among them. Ford has been a staple for families, while John Deere's green tractors are icons of American farming. These companies have shaped American life for generations, providing jobs and building products recognized worldwide. Recently, both made bold, unexpected moves that sparked national debate. Ford shifted its stance on social issues, stepping back from high-profile diversity and inclusion programs. Meanwhile, John Deere announced it would move hundreds of jobs from Iowa to a new factory in Mexico. These decisions sent shockwaves through communities and made headlines across the country. Former President Donald Trump responded forcefully, threatening severe financial penalties. Trump's message: American companies should always put American workers first. His reaction intensified an already heated situation, raising questions about what comes next. This story is about more than two companies. It's about tough choices, workers' lives, and the future of the American economy. We'll explore why Ford and John Deere made these moves and what Trump's response could mean. We'll hear from all sides of the debate. This is a story that touches millions and reveals the direction America may be heading. The stakes are high and the consequences are real. Let's dive in. Ford has long been a leader, not just in cars but in social responsibility. For years, it proudly scored high on the Human Rights Campaign's Corporate Equality Index, supporting LGBTQ+ employees. But in early 2024, Ford announced it would no longer participate in the index or similar public rankings. This was a dramatic shift, like a top student refusing to take more tests. The move sparked immediate debate. Why would Ford step back from public commitments to diversity? Ford said it was still committed to its employees but wanted to focus on internal efforts, not external validation. This change came as DEI programs became a political flashpoint in America. Some see these programs as essential for fairness, others call them divisive. Ford's decision placed it squarely in the middle of this national argument. Other big companies like Lowe's and Harley-Davidson made similar moves, signaling a broader trend. For Ford, deeply woven into American culture, the decision raised questions about the role of corporations in society. Should companies focus on business, social issues, or both? The answer is far from simple. Why did Ford make such a public change? CEO Jim Farley insisted Ford wasn't abandoning its values, but shifting focus to internal culture over public recognition. The company wanted to manage its own workplace, not chase scores from outside groups. Conservative activists had pressured Ford, threatening boycotts over woke policies. The fear of losing customers or becoming a target in the culture wars was real. Legal concerns also played a role after the Supreme Court banned affirmative action in college admissions. Companies worried about legal risks to their own diversity programs. Some, like Lowe's, cited this ruling directly when changing policies. Ford likely saw stepping back as a way to avoid future legal trouble. Ultimately, Ford's decision was a business calculation, balancing values, customer base, and legal risk. The company wanted to keep working on diversity, but out of the political spotlight. For a giant like Ford, navigating today's social and political landscape is a challenge. Their move shows how companies are trying to balance ideals with business realities. The debate is far from over. While Ford was changing policies, John Deere made a move that hit even closer to home for many Americans. In 2024, John Deere announced it would shift production from Iowa to a new plant in Mexico, cutting over 800 U.S. jobs. For generations, working at John Deere was a way of life in Iowa. The loss of these jobs was a heavy blow to families and the community. John Deere said the move would let skilled U.S. workers focus on more advanced tasks, while simpler work went to Mexico. The company pointed to recent investments in American factories, insisting it wasn't abandoning the U.S. But for many, the decision felt like another chapter in the long story of American jobs moving overseas. Offshoring has been a political flashpoint for decades, good for profits, devastating for local communities. John Deere's move reignited debates about the cost of global competition. Politicians who campaign on protecting American jobs took notice. The trade-off between business strategy and community impact is as tough as ever, and the fallout was just beginning. Donald Trump's response to John Deere's move was immediate and fierce. At a rally in Pennsylvania, he threatened a 200% tariff on any John Deere products made in Mexico and imported back to the U.S. Such a tariff would triple the price of those products, making them nearly impossible to sell profitably. Trump's America First message has always targeted companies that move jobs overseas. He's used public pressure before, criticizing companies like Carrier, GM, and Ford for similar decisions. Sometimes his pressure led to companies changing course, at least temporarily. Trump's threat to John Deere sent a clear message: move jobs out, face consequences. Supporters cheered, seeing him as a champion for American workers. But for businesses, the threat of massive tariffs creates uncertainty and risk. Companies worry about higher costs and disrupted operations. The clash between political goals and business realities is growing sharper. Trump's stance could reshape how companies make decisions about jobs and production. The stakes for American manufacturing have never been higher. The battle lines are drawn. Under fire, both Ford and John Deere defended their choices. Ford's CEO argued that stepping away from public diversity rankings was about focusing on real internal change, not abandoning values. The company wanted to build inclusion from within, not for outside approval. Ford insisted it was still committed to its workforce, just on its own terms. John Deere, meanwhile, said moving jobs to Mexico was a strategic decision to strengthen U.S. operations. By shifting simpler work abroad, they claimed, American workers could focus on higher-value tasks. The company highlighted billions invested in U.S. factories as proof of its commitment. Both companies framed their moves as tough but necessary for long-term success. Critics saw abandonment, leaders saw adaptation. In a global economy, these are the kinds of choices big companies face. The debate over what's right continues. The fallout from Ford and John Deere's decisions was deeply personal for many. Activists and diversity advocates criticized Ford, saying it sent the wrong message about inclusion. The Human Rights Campaign accused Ford of turning its back on employees and risking its reputation with younger, diverse workers. For John Deere's laid-off workers in Iowa, the company's business logic offered little comfort. Union leaders and community members felt betrayed, worried about their town's future. Some conservatives, however, celebrated Ford's move as a win against woke culture. Business analysts saw John Deere's decision as financially smart, and the stock market quickly recovered. The reactions revealed a divided America. What's seen as betrayal by some is victory or pragmatism to others. These stories show how corporate decisions ripple through communities and culture. The debate over values, jobs, and business strategy is far from settled. The impact is real and ongoing. Ford and John Deere's stories are part of a bigger American struggle. The fight over manufacturing jobs continues, as companies chase lower costs abroad and politicians push back. Trump's tariff threats are a direct response to decades of offshoring. Meanwhile, the culture wars rage on, with companies caught between opposing demands on social issues. Supporting DEI can anger conservatives. Pulling back can alienate progressives. Businesses that serve everyone find it harder to please anyone. Political pressure from both sides means companies can't make decisions quietly anymore. Every move risks backlash, boycotts, or government action. The relationship between business, politics, and society is changing fast. The choices made now will shape America's future. Ford and John Deere's recent moves have sparked a national conversation about what we expect from big companies. These aren't just business decisions, they reflect deep economic and cultural tensions. Trump's tariff threats force us to ask, should companies prioritize profit or national loyalty? The answer will shape jobs, workplace culture, and the prices we all pay. Boardroom decisions in Detroit and Moline have real consequences for families everywhere. Understanding these events helps us see the forces shaping our economy and society. The story of Ford, John Deere, and Trump is a snapshot of a nation in transition. The path forward is uncertain, but the debate is essential for America's future.